I wanted to talk about something interesting, some new developments, in fact, coming out of the Biden administration's National Labor Relations Board. This was the week where the NLRB paved the way for workers to unionize without formal elections. This is a 3-1 decision from the board involving building materials company Cemex Construction Materials that could provide a major boost to unions by allowing them to represent workers in certain cases when a majority signs cards in support of unionizing rather than going through the lengthy and often litigious election process. Okay, so here's the deal. This is from Indies Times. Hamilton Nolan had a great piece. The rule says that when the majority of a company's employees sign union cards and ask for recognition, the company must either recognize the union or file a petition requesting a formal election within 2 weeks. Super quick. In a crucial change, though, if an employer who seeks an election commits any unfair labor practice that would require setting aside the election, the petition would be dismissed. And rather than rerunning the election, the board would order the employer to recognize and bargain with the union. So in other words, if you try and do any kind of anti-union shenanigans, you try and screw with the union drive, mess with the workers, get in their heads, the union will automatically be formed and you'll have to recognize it. So no more of the union drive. It basically shortens that runway and it makes it far easier to form a union. And if you fuck with that process, then the union's formed automatically and you just have to negotiate.
I think it's important for people to know that we're in a moment right now. It's a moment that it took about 40 to 45 years to get to, where Reagan, and we should always crap on Reagan and his legacy. Reagan and the kind of the seeds of the modern Republican cruelty machine, deliberately, if you will, just took out the wind from workers and deliberately crippled unions. And led a campaign to the point where unions used to be very popular. Unions used to represent workers. Unions used to have high ratings. And then there appeared in the 80s and early 90s, you saw unions decimated. You saw worker productivity go up. Profits went up, but workers, their wages have remained flat. All that money went straight to the top. Nothing trickled down. That's the important history here. Because thanks to the pandemic, a pandemic in which more than 1 million Americans died, needlessly, I would say, because let's not forget, Donald Trump knew it was dangerous, lied about it. We have the audio tape with Bob Woodward. People have casually forgotten that him and his administration and Republicans wanted mom and dad and grandma to die just so we could open up business again by spring. People forget that. I always want people to remind that. But what the pandemic did, Francesca, is made folks sit and think about their life. And workers are like, why am I working 2 jobs just to stay broke? Why do I not have a living wage? Why cannot I not have collective bargaining? Why can I not live with some semblance of decency in the allegedly the most powerful, wealthy country in the world? And so now, this is what's really exciting. We have a moment where workers are flexing. You see WGA, where you are in California, SAG. Now you're seeing the VFX workers who are literally just burned the F out by Disney, finally saying enough is enough. UPS workers flexed and got a new contract. Amazon workers are trying to flex. And what you're going to see is the Empire Strikes Back. You're going to see corporations do anything and everything in their power to crush and decimate workers. However, with awareness, with conscientiousness, with knowing your history, when people with the grassroots saying enough is enough, when the workers, the majority mobilizes, now they're saying, guess what? You can't replace us completely with AI and drones and workers. You need us right now. Yeah. And if you want this product to be sold and you want money, you need to pay us. So this is where I think, while everything seems like it's going to hell, there's a moment where we should really kind of embrace this moment, recognize this moment, and realize this is the first time in generations that workers and unions are finally coming together and flexing. And it is in all of our interest to support these workers across all industries. The last thing I'll say is a lot of people are like, I'm not in California. I don't care about movies. I'm not a writer. I'm not an actor. It doesn't matter. Get away your notions, your romantic notions of how these people live. Most of them are living on poverty wages. They're workers. You might not be a UPS worker. You might not be an Amazon worker. Might not be a Starbucks worker. But if you're a worker, you want to get behind this movement that will finally allow workers to live with some semblance of dignity in a country where all the profit has gone to the top. Nothing has trickled down to the majority. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You always have that moment on this show, which is great, and I love that. No, and that's you're absolutely right. And it's, I thought this piece by Hamilton was really good because he also goes into the fact that there's going to be more changes. He writes, we could also see the NLRB issue several more decisions that could expand the speech of rights of workers, empower strikes, and restrict the scope of, quote, management rights provisions that companies use to do whatever they want. Jennifer Abruzzo, the NLRB's general counsel, is pushing as hard as possible to fully transform America's existing suite of regulations into one that helps workers organize rather than hinders them. It also remains to be seen how much of their vision will become a reality, but Abruzzo and the NLRB are proving to be the single best reason for the left to support Joe Biden. Marianne Williamson's gonna be mad. No, but it's true. And that, I think, is, some of these, again, we have not even spoken in the last couple of weeks, but the, student loan debt relief, that has been sort of quietly pushed or not so quietly pushed through, by the Biden administration, despite what the Supreme Court, or other courts have been ruling. And then this, right? It's like the NLRB is really important. That being said, it can all be rolled back with a Republican administration.
That's right.
These administrators are only there because we have a Democrat in office. And so I thought that this was an important note to end this on, speaking of movements. But he writes, the Democratic Party is a transactional partner to labor. It will only help us to the extent that we are strong enough to push it to do so. Joe Biden does not pass out union cards. The NLRB does not organize workers. Only the labor movement can do that. Sometimes, like now, the government offers us a small step up. It won't mean much for the world unless we take it as a signal to start running. I love that. I mean, and I also think the other thing is, sadly, despite, it's interesting because at the same time we hear of the workers at Amazon, at Starbucks, just recently at Trader Joe's, that unionization's down. So it's like there is this perception that it's up, but it still is not. So there still is so much more work to be done. And you're totally right. We have a technology gap. The billionaires are trying to make workers irrelevant any way possible. And we're here. They want to be here. And this is the next 50 years of our life.
That's right.
This is the next, what are we going to do? Are we going to cede all this territory and wins that we've already ceded the money to them? Or are we going to fucking fight like hell? Because when they can replace us, they absolutely will.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole SAG after stuff and the WGA stuff is super crucial because it's also like punditry, journalism, commentary, writing. None of it matters. I mean, forget the difference between a blue collar worker and a white collar job. Everyone is in the same soup here. They want to make us irrelevant, which, look, Wajahat, I'm fine if they want to do all my work for me, but pay me.
That's right.
Then make food free. Thank you.
Make healthcare free, daycare free. You can spend time with your child.
You're happy. Robot can do my job. I don't care.
Yeah. It's fine by me. Make the AI version of Wajab to go and clown on Vivek and Nikki. But real quick, that paragraph you read is pragmatic politics. A politician will not move unless you push them and make them move.
Yeah.
And with the Biden presidency, despite its flaws, I think what's important to realize is there's no both sides here. The Biden presidency realizes that it's a bridge presidency between a more progressive, angry, radical majority that wants changes. And if they want to win, they're like, oh, we actually have to tackle race and class. We actually cannot forfeit like we used to in the Bill Clinton days. We can't punt student loan. We can't punt work. We can't punt living wages. And just to show you how change is made, a few years ago, folks, a living wage, the $15 wage, was seen as a radical idea. All right. So what's considered radical through time and effort and lobbying and narrative and pushing becomes mainstream. Marriage equality, when I was growing up, radical. Obama, no, I'm not for that. Until groundswell of change. And now every Democrat has to say yes, or else they ain't going to be a Democrat. They're not going to be a nominee, right? So what's considered to be crazy, like giving workers rights and, strengthening unions, giving women, I don't know, the freedom and control over their body, and lowering prescription drugs. That's the big news today. All of this is seen as a radical progressive pipe dream until People pushed it, they organized for it, and most Americans, even on Fox, they're like, yeah, the rich should pay their fair share of taxes. That sounds like a good idea. That's not that radical or crazy. And that's why you're seeing the backlash, because those who are in power, the 1%, corporate America, realizes, oh no, the peasants, the proletariat, the workers, they're onto us. We
Yep.
got to crush them.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.